All right, this is like take 6 or something. So anyway, if I don't have enough news and notes later, I'm not going to do another video. And the big news so far is Miles Sanders missed practice today. So Chuba Hubbard has a chance at flirting with top 10 running back upside if you haven't already stashed him or he's sitting on your waiver wire. So anyway, let's get into the Jahmyr Gibbs stuff. So I've seen people talking about him. In my opinion, I'm just going to cut to the chase. Like, he's probably a buy. I own him in one of my leagues because after week 1, the guy was like, hey, here's a really bad trade. Can I throw this guy in here to get him off my roster? And I was like, sure, I will take your RB2 and sit him on my bench as my RB3 so I can use him when I want to. So that's why I would be buying him. Jahmyr Gibbs is imperfect. Hopefully when you were drafting him, if you drafted him, you understood that he's imperfect and he had a very hard, limited chance to hit RB1 upside. And he reminds me from a running back standpoint of why I liked Elijah Moore last week is because Elijah Moore, depending on how my team is constructed, Elijah Moore is a guy that I can throw in there. Know I'm going to get high volume. He's going to give me a 40-degree day, and then there's a chance of a spike week. So I've sort of talked about this. Other guys have talked about this. The Lions have high pace of play. The Packers have low pace of play. There was like 72% plays. 72 plays for the Lions and 48 plays for the Packers. And you could say part of that was because of, the Lions were just playing better offense than the Packers, but it doesn't matter because more plays means that there's more guys on the Lions that either are going to have, better than 40-degree days or just 40-degree days. There's more plays, more opportunity. Opportunity is the king of fantasy football. So, moving on from that, Jahmyr Gibbs had 13 touches last night, if my memory serves me correctly. He had 17 carries, 2 targets against Atlanta when Montgomery was out, and he had 7 carries and 9 targets against Seattle, and he had 7 attempts and 2 targets against Kansas City in his debut. RB2 numbers, hopefully this is what you thought you were going to get because that's what you're going to get. And from a fantasy perspective, like RB2s are going to be limited either because of their floors or their ceiling. That's why they're RB2s, right? So the other thing as I get into his usage, and I've done so many takes today that I have it left over before, the way that I would envision Jahmyr Gibbs being used correctly would be you want to get him in space, you want to get him to the edges. I'm not saying anything novel on that thing. To understand like Jahmyr Gibbs, we can look at like how Dalton Kincaid was supposed to function in the Bills offense with James Cook and Dawson Knox. So Dalton Kincaid would be the wide receiver 3 in the slot, and Dawson Knox could stay in the pass block, and then James Cook could get to the edge and punish people in space because someone needs to stay in pass block. And for the Lions, that pass blocker is Brock Wright, because you're not, and I brought this up before with Bijan. I'm not leaving Bijan in the pass block. That seems counterintuitive to me. And then I'm not leaving Sam Laporta in for the Detroit Lions pass block. He's kind of another big slot. So how do you utilize Sam Laporta and Jahmyr Gibbs on the same play if you're going to pass? Well, you either have to have like a blocking tight end stay in the game. That would be Brock Wright, or you have to bring in David Montgomery to take the dirty work snaps. Like those are your options if you're Detroit. Some of this is bad play design. Some of it was just good play by the Packers last night because I have the tape. And to continue to finish this off from a perspective, Ryan Clark, the former safety in the NFL, and he's a pundit, he said a few years back that Derrick Henry wasn't a power back, and he's not wrong. And Derrick Henry and Jahmyr Gibbs, believe it or not, have similarities to their game because they both get to edges and chew up angles. The difference is Derrick Henry's so big that he doesn't have to be as fast. He's still really fast for his size, but he doesn't have to be as fast because he's going to chew that angle up, and then you're going to bounce off of a bad tackling angle. Jahmyr Gibbs, because he's faster, surprise, surprise, he's not going to break the tackle the same way, but he's still going to chew up that angle with his speed. That's why getting him to the edge and in space. So, and that was one of the knocks that, like, at Alabama, Gibbs didn't run inside zone. He didn't grind. Like the Lions are making him do that because that's what teams are forcing them to do. They're saying you won't grind with Jahmyr Gibbs, and the Lions are actually kind of doing a little bit of that. So this to me, this first play looks like a mid zone to the edge. He's either going to put a foot in the ground and get downhill, or he's going to bounce depending on how these guys play this. And he sees a crease, he takes it, and it's a first down. Like he grinds and he gets a first down. That's play number one. Play number two, this is just a check down, and we're going to talk about this all game with Quay Walker. Quay Walker is really fast. That's why the Packers drafted him to play Mike. He's not taking away the deeper routes. He's driving on Gibbs because if you let Gibbs catch this ball in space, as fast and potentially good as Quay Walker is, and he was kind of imperfect last year as a prospect. Anyway, but if he lets Gibbs catch this ball and start running, they're screwed. So they would rather the Lions check this ball down to some of the other guys, like an Amon-Ra down, because he's going to be easier to actually tackle than Jahmyr Gibbs. So he's driving on a route that he would normally not be driving on because he has to take this away before it gets started. And we'll actually see this all game long. This is how the Packers attacked Gibbs, and not all teams are going to have the ability to have a guy go track Gibbs like this and not get punished in other ways. So Quay Walker's there. There's your Madden hit stick. So on this play, it looks like a sweep out of gun and whatever, and I'm not looking at these plays and trying to describe exactly what they are or what the terminology is, like in the Saban Alabama, like when I coach, I usually let the kids pick the actual play names because it's more important to me that they remember a pattern match soft cover 2 as Captain Crunch because they think it's funny than it is for me to make them remember it as like whatever the 16 systems I've been in that are called. So if I get something wrong, like, write it in the comments and I'll call you stupid. So anyway, here's another, this looks like another sweep off the first one, and it's just an end around to Khalif Raymond, and I don't care about that, and probably neither of you. Okay, here's a design passing play. And remember, for running back, the two things we want are design passing plays and red zone work. And Gibbs is going to be limited in the red zone because they're not going to probably grind him too much when they get to like the 3 or 4 yard line. That's what Montgomery is. That's why he had 3 touchdowns last night. Gibbs' use in the red zone is going to probably diminish as they get closer. And the only time that they're going to use him inside probably the 5 yard line is on these type of design passing plays. So you see here, and I think this is Laporta running off. No, that's not Laporta. It's a wide receiver. Anyway, they're running this play off. It's a 3rd and 23. I thought it was Laporta for some reason. Well, it's Laporta a lot of other places. So they're taking the receiver and they're running him off on the seam, and they're trying to have Gibbs come in behind it. And if I haven't already said it, because I've said it like 6 times on other videos, I'm stealing the video from I'm Bearing Down, giving him credit, but I'm being transformative because I'm talking over it. So anyway, they're running him off, and then they're bringing Gibbs underneath it, and then Quay Walker's like, nope, I'm going to take this away because if I let you get in space, then we're screwed. I'd rather they throw it to the seam route. On this play, I think this is a draw again, taking advantage if that's what the defense is going to give them. Those are probably design checks that they have in there to run these draw plays when the Packers give them certain things. So here's another one. It should be a check down. These guys should not be jumping this route. And they are, because they know that like Jahmyr Gibbs catching the football is probably bad, and he slips, and it wouldn't have mattered anyway because he would have gotten blown up. This one may have been a design passing play, but you can see right here that like it's a little difficult to explain because I don't know what was going on in the play. This is either a design passing play to Gibbs, or Goff just decides really early he's going to throw to Gibbs. This doesn't look like man. It might be man under. I don't know. Again, I don't care. So the whole point behind this is that like Laporta up top, I think this is Laporta up top. Like he's open right now. So if Goff held the football a second longer, he would have either made Walker have to make the decision to take away the underneath route or to drive on Gibbs. Quay Walker just decides to drive on Gibbs. The ball's not placed very well, in my opinion. I think it should be more away and towards the sideline and really making Quay Walker run for it and allowing Gibbs to get a full head of steam. I don't know if Goff was like, oh, I shouldn't throw this ball, and he just pulled it late, so he wouldn't be running Gibbs directly into Quay Walker. I don't know what was going on in this play, but if it's a design passing play, that's good from a fantasy standpoint. If it's not a design passing play, Goff should have gone to the number one up top, and he doesn't. And then, Quay Walker breaks down, and that's not the type of play that Gibbs is going to break. So this is another good design passing play. I believe this is Laporta now. He's just running off, or he's creating a rub route, and you throw it to Gibbs. And if Quay Walker's a little slower, this might be a touchdown. So he's not, and instead of it, being a touchdown, it's only a first down. And then we got another draw play on 3rd and 15, whatever. I think this is another sweep or something. I don't know. And then I think this is a trap, draw. And then finally, this is another design passing play to Gibbs on a screen throwback. And they're Montgomery and Gibbs around the field. I mean, this is all stuff that we like from a fantasy perspective. So to finish off all this stuff, James Conner for the Cardinals, he's a high volume, low efficiency RB2 on a bad offense. He's going to be limited. On what he's going to be able to do week to week. Aaron Jones is kind of more of an efficiency guy. He's a high end RB2, and he's flirted with being an RB1 before, but I have him pulled up from last year, and Aaron Jones, like all the highlighted games that I have up here are 40-degree days or sub 40-degree days with Aaron Jones last year. So like, what is that? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 40-degree days or sub 40-degree days out of the 17. And in this case, like he only had 6 touchdowns last year. So if he doesn't get in the end zone and he doesn't get enough volume or efficiency, he's just not going to give you the week. That's why they're not RB1s, they're RB2s. So in the case of Jahmyr Gibbs, like, can we have predictive spike weeks? Well, again, it depends because of the game scripts that are going to go on. Like, are the Lions going to either have to throw more or use Jahmyr Gibbs as a weapon? Or is he just going to have to have this very unpredictable play, like an 80-yard swing pass? Like those are the questions that we have to answer. So maybe Carolina, Tampa's probably a good defense. The Baltimore game is going to be a really odd game script to try and predict. Vegas isn't very good. Then you have a bye week. The Chargers should be a shootout in LA. The Bears are probably not going to be a very healthy game script for a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs unless he can rip one off. They're back at Green Bay at home. That might be an interesting game, but the Packers are slow pace of play. At New Orleans in the Dome, that might be a good game script for Gibbs. Chicago's not going to be a game unless they get good at football. You're hoping that Gibbs can have a big play. Denver's not very good right now. But again, the script is not going to be in favor of Jahmyr Gibbs ever succeeding unless he can have the big play. That's who he is. And then the other thing, to finish off, like Minnesota in week 16 and Dallas in week 17. And I would rather have them play Minnesota back to back instead of, if I'm a Gibbs owner, having Dallas in the fantasy championship. What was I going to say? The idea with Gibbs, like if he can't have the big play, like the 6 touchdowns that Aaron Jones has, like you're not going to be able to predict the spike week. It's just not going to be there. They're just not going to roll him out and feature him in that capacity. But the light at the end of the tunnel, Jameson Williams is coming back after week 6. And that's a guy that if they start coming up on Jahmyr Gibbs to take away his routes, there's going to be another 4-3 guy running deeper behind him. And you're going to put these guys in conflict in a different manner. So at that point, like, again, this is a reason for optimism that conflict may be a buy, because now you're still going to probably have boomer bust weeks, but like they're going to have to choose. And some weeks it's going to be Jahmyr Gibbs, and other weeks it might be Jameson Williams. So anyway, that's kind of my opinion. This is a little shorter. Maybe I'll like this take and I'll keep it.